everybody, it's me, Nina. Today we're going to do something that I have never done before, and that is to make my grandma's apple stack cake. Now, I've watched videos on how other people have done theirs, and Grandma had always made hers, of course, very thin, and I had never got to watch her make it. The only thing that I remember is Dad telling me that when his mom made it, she used dried apples. And I know everyone else that I had ever heard of making it used either applesauce or, better yet, apple butter. And Grandma used the dried apples, like I said. So I thought, for my first time, I want to try to do it and make it as authentic as I can. And I'm hoping that it turns out good and that I can take it to my mom's 80th birthday party that we're having this Saturday. She'll be 80 years old on the 6th, and we're families getting together to have her a party, and I thought she's going to have a birthday cake. My brother's taking care of that, but I thought, you know, a different dessert would be kind of nice. And I started looking at recipes, and some of the ones that you see have where they put the batter into actual cake pans, and like the 9-inch cake pan. And I thought, you know, those didn't remind me of Grandma's. Grandma's were thinner and they weren't perfect around the edges. Well, then I got reading some of the old-time recipes because Grandma didn't leave any, and if she did, I don't know whatever happened to them. But I found a lady that uses parchment paper, and she puts the batter out on that parchment paper and bakes them for like 10 minutes and makes about 6 layers, and that's how I remember Grandma's being. And they weren't perfect. The edges were not, you know, always perfect. And so yeah, that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try by memory to make it the way that Grandma's looked. Even though I don't have her recipe, I found this one that I think is super close. And I do remember my dad saying about the dried apples. So, in saying that, I started looking and I couldn't find any around the regular stores. So I even got online and looked, and I could have got them on Amazon. But we had a little, as you guys know, we go to this country market, and it's ran by Amish people. And I called them before I ran out there, and she said, oh yeah, we have apples, dried apples, but they're only in small containers. So we ended up getting 5 of these, so I'd have at least a pound and a half to use, and that's what it called for. So I was excited about finding these. Each container was about $1.80. Alright, so you know me in the kitchen. Got my hands washed and my hair pulled back, and now we're going to get started. I just wanted to let you know that in the description box below, I am going to put the recipe down there for the stack cake and also for the filling. So the filling you can use, like I said, if you don't want to make it this way with all these ingredients and with dried apples, then you can use the apple butter. I have had it both ways, and I like the one with the dried apples best. But they can get pricey, and you know, so whatever fits in your budget, better. So we're going to start with the stack cakes first. And then when I get those done, they have to be completely cooled. And then while they're cooling, we'll go ahead and start making the filling. Alright, for the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to cream the butter and sugar together and make sure they're mixed really well. So we need 3/4 cup of butter. And it's softened. Get the rest of it out of there. And then we need 1/2 cup of sugar. Now, ever so often, I want you to go in and scrape down those sides so that it gets really mixed well together. And we've got 2 of our eggs from our chickens. Alright, now with our 2 eggs, we're going to add those and a cup of molasses. To the butter and sugar. Alright, in this bowl we're going to be adding together the buttermilk and soda. So we need a 1/4 teaspoon of the soda. And then we need a 1/2 cup of buttermilk. Gonna mix those together. Alright, now we're going to add in the buttermilk and soda. Alright, in a separate bowl, we're going to add all the dry ingredients together. So we're going to be needing 3 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 3/4 teaspoon of allspice, and I don't have regular allspice, but I do have that apple pie spice, 3/4 spoon of cinnamon, and then we've got a 1/4 teaspoon of cloves, and this is dried cloves that I have, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Let's mix this together. Alternate the dry ingredients with the wet ingredients in a separate bowl and end with the dry ingredients. Now the only reason I would know to do that is because you want to make sure that it's going to be moist enough, and if it's too moist, then of course you add the dry ingredients last to make sure that it is, you know, that it should be a good consistency. Alright, so we're going to add them together. I put the light over here. I'm hoping you guys can see alright. Now it says you can mix with your hands or with a mixer, and we're going to be doing this, I guess, in what, thirds then? So let's go ahead and I'm going to use, put about 3 of those, maybe 4 heaping. I'm going to use a scoop. Try that. And I'll mix it with a spoon, see how it starts going. Whoa, I am a messy baker, aren't I? And the reason that I'm getting this done so early is that you want it to sit for at least 24 hours before you serve it. You want all of this moisture and the cake to combine. Okay, we're going to set this in the refrigerator for a ½ hour. I wanted to share with you a picture of my grandma that made this cake. She would make it for Christmas and for other special occasions. She was a precious, precious woman. Her name was Margaret, and I loved her so very much and miss her so very much. Okay, while that is in the refrigerator, instead of using 6 pans or filling, I've only got 2, so I would have had to do this 3 times. So instead of doing that, this is the secret that I found out. So what you're going to do is lay down one of your pans, use a marker, and go around it. I'm going to try and get 2 of these on one baking sheet. And I used a black marker so that when we turn it over, we can still see where it was at, but yet it's not going to touch the food. All right, so we've got our paper and we are ready. Now it's going to be thin, and I wasn't exactly sure how much to put in each little circle, so I'm guessing, and I'm hoping that it turns out good. We'll see. Can only try, right? So yeah, because we want this to sit for, like I said, 24 hours at least, covered up. We're going to cover it all once it's done with some saran wrap or plastic wrap. Okay, it looks like it's pretty uniform. And I don't want the edges exactly perfect anyway. Alright, we have our oven set at 350, and we are going to bake this, because of how thin it is, for only 12, maybe 10 to 12 minutes, it said. So I'll do this 2 more times. This is the only large baking sheet that I have. If I had another one, I could put one on the top rack. But that's okay. I have nothing but time, so. All right, let's set this in the oven and I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. Okay, the first 2 came right off of the paper, no breaks or anything. This is how I remember the edges not being perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these done, and when I start making the filling or topping, I will be back. Okay, I've got the last load in the oven, and it's got 8 minutes to go, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on the filling. So to begin with, we're going to have 1.5 pounds of dried apples and 1.5 cups of sugar and 2.5 cups of water, and we're going to put those together. When they get incorporated and it's almost done, then we're going to add the nutmeg, the allspice, cloves, and cinnamon. In this little bowl, I added the a half a teaspoon of nutmeg, the allspice, which I didn't have, so I used that apple pie spice, and then half a teaspoon of cloves, and then 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and then I'll put this in once the apples are done. All right, when the apples are done, you're going to put them in a processor. All right, and this is what it looks like. I tasted it, and oh my goodness, that is delicious. So I looked for my cake carrier, and the top, it's for like a 2-layer shortcake. It's not going to be for the stack cake. So I'm going to have to just use a regular plate. But these are all cool. I've got 6 of them. And now I have to wait for this to cool before I ice it. Alright, it's still warm, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. Alright, I got the first one done, and I got it all the way to the edges. This is the only one that cracked, which is okay. Make sure that you try to line them up as good as you can. Turn that light. I've got Steve holding the camera for me. He just got home. Smells delicious. Whoops. Okay. Whoops, I cracked that one sitting on there too. Look how thin that is. That's perfect. Yep. Put a little bit more. And we're just taking it to the ends. I'm going to save a pretty one for the bottom, or for the very top. I'll save that one over there for the very top. Because on the very top on Saturday, on Mom's party, I will put a little bit of powdered sugar. I probably could have put some more even on those 1 layers.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to put some around the side if I have some left. It reminds me of my grandma's, you guys. I think she would be proud of me. Yep, I got plenty left. I'll go around the side a little bit. Whoops. Be back in a second. All right, you guys, here it is. My very first old-fashioned apple stack cake. Smells divine. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate each and every single one of you. We'll see you on the next video. God bless you all.